What's up, everyone? Nate Albaugh here, Unity High School, Tolono, Illinois, alongside Ben Campos of Carbondale High School, also in Illinois, but not very close to me. You know, Illinois is long and skinny, man, and Carbondale is down there. That's Southern Illinois. You know, Coach Campos, I was talking to some Chicagoland guys, and they we were talking about Champaign area where I'm from, and they said Southern Illinois, and I said, whoa, no. This is Central Illinois. Carbondale is Southern Illinois. So we got a Southern Illinois guy in the house. Coach Campos, welcome, and tell us a little bit about what you do at Carbondale.
So I've been the defense coordinator at Carbondale Community High School for 5 years now, and I've been at Carbondale for a lot longer than that. It's been, I think 13, 14 years now that I've been at Carbondale. With a stint here and there at Chester High School, and then I was at Murfreesboro before that. So it's a county rival, and I switched to the bad side, I guess, according to my neighbor.
Yeah, but that black looks nice, though, doesn't it?
I love it.
It looks sharp. Now, did you grow up in down there in Southern Illinois?
Yes, sir. I played my football and went to school in Murfreesboro High School.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then essentially made my way over to Carbondale. So I've been here at Southern Illinois and Southern Illinois University, and I'm from Carbondale, man.
Lifer. Good for you, man. Well, Coach is going to talk today about game planning. Before we get to that game planning, I wanted to talk a little bit about 3-5-3. You had mentioned, you had reached out and said it's interesting because we, as a staff, we wanted to go 3-5. We found your stuff, so they found the content I had made online about our version of the 3-5-3, which we coined the simplest 3-5-3, but honestly only because the guy who taught it to me literally said the words, "Nate, this is the simplest 3-5-3 I've ever run." He literally said it, so I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna call it. Well, they found it. They decided to go to it, and then 2 years ago, I had moved on, but they ended up playing and beating my former high school where I was running this defense. They ended up playing and beating them with that defense in the playoffs. What has that journey of doing this defense, being a simple 3-5-3 guy and this version of it, what has that journey been like, and what do you love about it?
Oh, the journey has been, it was hard at first because we were trying to find the best way to teach our kids. And when you get into all this information and you don't have a clear way to go, it's really hard. So when we finally found this, and it was pretty comprehensive. We wanted to make sure that we explained to kids how they fit in the system, one, and we want to be able to teach it with the coaches that we had.
Yes.
And once we got into it, holy cow, it was just so comprehensive. We were able to figure out what kind of kids we wanted where, the drills that were involved, the reads, the coverages, all that stuff was in there. And it was simple. The kids understood the basis of everything and why we did everything. And it was like easy to move people around then, like when we wanted to give different looks, whether it was an odd front with a brought up monster or a dog, something like that. It's just been, it's evolved from that 3-5-3 into a 5-1 to an 8-1 at times. It's just crazy. We can really do a lot of things because that first year we didn't break the stack at all. Like there was no breaking the stack. Like we wanted to make sure the kids knew how to establish the defense versus anything. So it was hard that first year. I mean, we were still, we went 2-7 that first year with it, but it definitely was, it was hard. We could see that there was a benefit from it. And then as we got into it, the next year, the turnovers went up. When we were starting to break the stack a little bit and do some other stuff with the blitzing game, all of a sudden the kids were like, oh, this is fun. Like we can bring pressure from everybody and anybody at all at the same time. We can drop 8, heck, we can drop 9. You know, we drop defensive linemen and linebackers. It's been crazy. It's been fun, and it really has turned Carbondale into one of the best defenses in the state.
That's so cool to hear. You know, I love one of the things I love and is getting guys that have decided, because this is how humans work, honestly, and it's really cool to see. I love getting a handful of guys together that have decided to run this defense, right? So, like, in theory, all of us started from the same place, but you give everybody 3 or 4 years, and everybody's defense slowly starts branching. And I love seeing what other guys are doing with it. So, like, I'm very anxious to see some of the different things you're doing as you guys break the stack. We got to sit down in clinic sometime. I want to see what you're doing. I want to see where you're comfortable blitzing from and how that guy's reads are staying similar. So when you say you guys are coming a ton, who is it? Mostly dogs, or is it mostly dogs and monsters? Is it balanced from all 5 guys?
Well, it's funny because the first 2 years we blitzed very little, and I wasn't comfortable in it myself. And then as we got going, it really became, I'm bringing everybody. If I can't stop you with 4, I'm bringing 5. If I can't stop you with 5, I'm bringing 6. But same thing with 7. And, you know, we have a call where we call Olympus Falls, and I know it's whatever, but we send 8. And it's crazy. We send them from everywhere and anywhere. We've got corner blitzes, pound blitzes. We bring pressure. And, you know, one of the things that we bought into about year 2 in the defense, once we started breaking the stack, was we really preach on making sure that we get to you before you get started.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, some of the way that we play our defensive line would give some coaches like heart attacks, you know, because we are getting penetration immediately.
Yeah.
And so our defensive line coach was one of those guys at first, and then all of a sudden he started buying in because you could still flip your hips, but imagine flipping your hips when you're, you know, 2 feet in the backfield, and now that guy's got no leverage on you. And that's whenever things really started taking off for us, when we were able to teach that defensive line to penetrate and still do the sound technical things that we needed to do. But we bring pressure from everybody, and those defensive linemen are the ones that allow us to bring the pressure.
Man, okay. Well, hopefully you get a chance sometime to, I want to see some clips, or we got to sit down in clinic sometime. I love just hearing the excitement from you about what you're doing, and I can hear all the similarities, and obviously the other thing that I think is huge when coaches sit down is when they're speaking the same language, you know? Like, you say dog, I know who you're talking about. You say monster, I know who you're talking about. It's amazing what that does. So this is fun. Okay, great. Well, without further ado, I'll shut up. I'll stop talking 353, and it is time for you to present. I want to give you the floor. You guys are doing a great job at Carbondale. You guys are consistent winners now, and last year going 8-2. It's awesome to see what's going on there. So congratulations on that. And now the floor is yours. Feel free to share your screen, and anxious to hear what you have to say.
All right. Well, there we go. I apologize for that hiccup there. Sometimes I get technically illiterate. But I want to talk to you guys today about defensive game planning. One of the things that we really take pride in, how we turn the corner at Carbondale, is by making sure that we are able to game plan for everybody. So, and accordingly. So one of the things that we really have done is just almost over prepare for things. So we'll be talking about that today, and I'm really passionate about it because I feel like that's been the cornerstone of how we have been able to become consistent winners at this point. So defensive game planning the Carbondale Terrier way. My email is there. It's coachbcampos@gmail.com, and my Twitter handle's on there. So a little bit of history about myself. There's not a whole lot there, I promise. I've coached at 2 different schools from 2000 to 2014. I was at Murfreesboro and Carbondale. I've coached the offensive side of the ball for 10 years as a offensive line coach, offensive coordinator. So I kind of have a good idea of what offenses are trying to do. From 2009 to 2012, I was the offensive coordinator at CCHS. Then I went to Chester High School in 2013 to help out Coach Lee as a special assistant there. Then in 2014, I came back to Carbondale, and I was the OC under Coach Mark Albertini, who is now our AD. He's long life friend there, and we had a really good time that year. But at that point, Carbondale wasn't doing all that great. 4 coaches in 4 years. And then in 2015, Brian Lee came along. He became the head coach, and he promoted me to being the defensive coordinator there. I wasn't as excited as I feel like I am now about it, but it was a good move for me. In 2015, we ran a base 5-2 defense for the first 6 games of the year, and then weren't very good. We weren't very good that year. We were 0-9. It was disappointing. But we did switch over to the 3-3-5, 3-5-3. But at that point, it was kind of garage sale and kind of pieced together. It wasn't a system. So in 2016, we went all in on the 3-3-5. We did our due diligence and bought the easiest 3-3-5 program from Coach Allball. We completely bought in, and it was great to buy in as a staff, because once we kind of got the hang of what we were looking at and what we were reading and learning, it was really interesting to see how all the pieces fit. And it took a little bit for us to get it going, but once we got going, it was better. We were 2-7 that year, but you could tell we became more of a defensive system or defensive football team at that point. In 2017, we were a very good defensive team. Had a lot of turnovers. From 2017, 2018, 2019, I think we were 60 plus on the turnover margin. We've done some pretty good stuff with teaching, turnovers every day. And, some years you have good years, some years you'd have bad years, but, and you're still teaching the same drills. So it just really depends on luck of the draw. But we did go 3-6 that year. We definitely wanted more improvement. But at that point, we were definitely a defensive team on the field, 77 snaps at a time. Kids were just exhausted. Then in 2018, we made a big shift and changed over to the spread. The kids bought in at that point and just took off. The 23 total turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. We made it to the second round of the playoffs, winning our first playoff game in 26 years. And then we beat Champaign Central at home. It was a big win for our program, a big win for us. For the kids, it was crazy. It was fun. And we really enjoyed that moment. We lost the second round to Cahokia, went 8-3 that year. Really had some great expectations for that year, and we met most of them. Then last year, 2019, our success was continued again. We were just a terrific defensive squad. We had 23 total turnovers last year, or 22 total turnovers last year, 3 pick sixes, countless fumble recoveries for touchdowns, and we did our job on the defensive side of the ball. We did a terrific job last year. The season ended, unfortunately, with a home playoff loss to the semifinalists, Mascouda Indians, a terrific team. But again, we had back-to-back playoff appearances, conference title, and we went from worst to first, and we really have more to prove. It's been a good trip over there at Carbondale. So how do we get to where we're supposed to get? Well, we had to come up with a belief system, and so with the game planning, what we believe in is a complete breakdown of all of our opponents, the tendencies, the formations, the plays, the situations, hashes, all that stuff that we can type into Huddle. We fill in almost everything. There are some things we don't fill in, and it's just based on who we're playing. But get the information. Be all about the information. It's huge. Like we always preach about, just give me the information, and once I get it, I'll do something with it. But be a good a good team that puts in all your information that you need in huddle. Be sound in our base scheme. That's one of the biggest things as well. You can get away from being who you are by over scheming, but be sound in that base scheme. So that's one of the biggest things we believe in. We always have a great game plan. We always feel very confident of our game plan, but we always have an Alamo as well. And this Alamo is our plan B. Anything that we think could happen, we prepare for that as well. So it's almost like preparing for 2 games at once. But the good thing is that we do such a great job most of the time with our game planning that we don't ever have to go to the Alamo, if rarely. But it is one thing that we believe in Carbondale. We believe in perfect effort from ourselves, the coaches, the players, the administration, the support staff, everybody. Everybody has to give perfect effort for this to work. Anybody that's helping input, anybody that's helping prepare you for the game. And that's just one of the things that we preach over there at Carbondale. The kids, we preach perfect violence. It's a violent game, but we also don't have crazy kids that go out there and just start punching people. We have kids that when they come and they hit with violent effort. They hit constantly, and they're just relentless at the violence within the game. And then perfect simplicity. This thing can take off in 15 different ways, and you have no idea where you started. So be simple. Make sure you branch off well, but always be able to come back to your sound scheme. How do we achieve our beliefs? We always prepare with our opponent's top 4 runs. So when we're game planning, we figure out what the top 4 runs and what the top 4 pass are for this team in every formation that they have. So we always know what every formation they've had for the last 2 years. I know that sounds like overkill, and some people might think, holy cow, that's a lot of work. Well, when you have 36 formations to read through every week, it can be. But then you process of elimination. This is their primary formation that they ran. We've seen this before, and that goes in part of our Alamo. When we prepare for our Alamo, when we start seeing those formations that we don't always see, it really becomes a nice feeling to have that, hey, we prepared for this. The kids know what they're looking at, and yes, it might have been overkill, but guess what? We were ready for it. And that's one of the things that has been really great about preparing. Once we've established those, we rep them every day out of all of the appropriate formations, the top 4 runs, the top 4 pass. And when we get into practice, we do all our fundamentals and appropriate reads in our indie sessions. So that way, whenever they get their top 4 runs, kids know who's pulling, who's going where, what to read on passes, what to read on the runs. And then anything after that, we rep in our group sessions. And our group sessions are full tilt. The kids, they come at it, they see the secondary and tertiary runs. Anything that we normally see, double passes, special plays, stuff like that, we'll run in our group sessions. So the nuts and bolts. Huddle is a terrific tool. I love it. I love Huddle. I could live in Huddle. It does help with sorting all the information, but you have to make sure that information is input correctly. And that's one of the things as a DC, whenever that drives you crazy, you go in and you see all these formations, and you pull them all up, and all of a sudden something that's a 2x2 formation is a 3x1, and you're like, what were you thinking? And then all of a sudden, then you have motions and all kinds of things. Just make sure that the information is in there correctly. Whether you have to do it, your head coach has to do it, just make sure it's in there correctly. We don't always rely on the reports and Huddle that puts out. And the reason that is because we just feel like we need to see it on a whiteboard. We need to see it life size almost. It's not that we don't trust it, but it does give you a great visual of what you have seen and how you want to align the formations. So once we've established that, as you can see here, this is part of one of our game plans here. we can really get down to the arguing and scheming of everything. You know, the arguing and scheming is why we get in the trenches and enjoy the game planning. You know, these guys spend a lot of time putting this together, and all of a sudden we want to go from a 3-3-5 or a 3-5-3 to a even man front. Why are we doing this? And now, you know, it just becomes a good way to make sure you're grounded in your base scheme. We take all that information that's in those reports, and then we build our game plan from that. You know, you can get as little as, you can shrink it and expand it as big as you want. We obviously, we're pretty comprehensive at Carbondale. We cover every formation, regardless of how many times that they ran it. There are some one-offs and two-offs, but you know, next thing you know, that one-off has a 50-yard play on it, and you gotta put it down. So there's no reason to kind of push it away. Bring it to the game plan. Make sure that you're ready for it. We really find out how to excel in what we do schematically here. When we see the matchups, when we see what they're running, we're able to hide our deficiencies that we have as well. Whether we switch people from one side to the other, or we bring in different defensive linemen in. When we see this, you know, certain packages come in, we really take pride in making sure that we're putting our kids in the best possible scenario to succeed. Because if you do all this game planning and you don't want to change anything, it all goes to waste. You want to make sure you put those guys in the best possible scenario to succeed. Know what kind of team you have. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't put on rose colored glasses. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with your other coaches. Because when you do that, at least you can be prepared for everything that you do, anything that you want to do. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is pull back and say, we just can't do that. And we really are honest about what kind of team we have. So this is kind of our schedule as we go through the week. Monday, we present all the formations and the top 4 run and pass for the kids. On Tuesday, we do our first draft of the game sheet is complete. We review all the formations, run our top 4 in our team, both run and pass. And then we do all of our auxiliary runs and passes in our group session. That idea that we had on Saturday, you know, bringing a monster into a too high safety look, and then bringing them on blitz as we're, you know, switching defenses and coverages. We start scrapping that idea because at that point, we've overthought ourselves. On Wednesday, the second draft of the game sheet is complete. We review all of our formations. We run our top 4 again in our team session. We'll do our play action and RPO in our group at that point. And then that crazy idea that we had with the too high safety, bringing him from blitz, put that back in because it works really well versus the RPOs. Thursday is the final draft of the game sheet. At that point, we've completed everything that we needed to complete. We review all of the formations, and we run every single play on that game sheet versus air. And I know that it gets tedious, and I have my defensive line coach looks at me and he just rolls his eyes in the back of his head. And is he done yet? Is he done yet? Well, you know, we go through every play, we go through every formation, and we're prepared. The kids are used to seeing stuff at this point, and we really don't want to have a bad call or a bad alignment versus any formation. We establish our base call versus our opponents at this point, and then we also introduce our Alamo to our players at that point. Friday, game day, be excited, be confident, review everything with your captains, make sure that they understand the game plan. As they've been going through the week, you're obviously sharing it with them, but on Friday, you want to make sure that they're confident in what they see, what they feel, and what they're doing. Just a little bit of insight to our game plan. We have 2 basic calls for every formation. They're dedicated calls to stopping the opponent without blitzing. So, you know, whether it's a pitch call, a loop call, a left or right call, we want to make sure that when we do this, it's pressure packed, but it's not a blitz. We have 3 or more blitzes for all the formations. We are a huge blitzing team at Carbondale. We don't hide that fact. And if you watch our game film, you will see that we get pretty creative at times with how we bring people. We can go from bringing 4 to bringing 8 all in the next, 2 or 3 plays. We want to make sure that we are bringing pressure and getting to you before you get started. We really believe that at Carbondale. We try to have 3 coverages for every formation. I know that sounds a little bit like overkill, but you might end up in a 1 high look or 2 high look. Especially with coverages, we try to hide a lot of stuff. We started cover 3 a lot. I know that I'm sharing information here, but it's stuff that's out there. We'll start out in cover 3, go to man-to-man, go to cover 2, go to cover 4. It all is going to look the same at the onset, and then once the play starts, people are dropping in 10 different directions, and it's fun to watch because we're able to bring a lot of blitzes and get to people and provide the pressure that we need. The coverage turns out really well for us. And then we make most of our adjustments prior to half when possible. And the reason that is because we take a lot of information in. I'm always preaching about give me the information, give me the information, give me the information. And then I'll weed it out. That's my job. We got to make sure that those adjustments are made prior to the half. So when we go in and talk to the kids, we're just fixing effort if we need to, instead of fixing scheme. A little bit of insight, play sheets. I always use Excel to complete my game sheet. I put a ton of information on there. I'm just not very smart, guys. The bottom line is I can't remember all that. I can't watch your offense and then all of a sudden, oh, my gut feeling tells me this is what you're going to do. I just have to write it all down. I always leave room to draw on it and write down notes during the game, and it really is kind of fun to look back at the crazy that you were writing down when the bullets were flying, because it really is a cool experience to have on Friday nights. It's just all the passion, all the excitement, and you can get really lost in the moment. And so, as cheesy as it might be, I started putting down quotes on my sheet. It just reminds me of who I am, and it keeps me grounded when it starts hitting the fan. So the coaches make fun of me because it looks like a Denny's menu is what happens. This thing is this big. It's a 12 by 17, 12 by 18 sheet. It's got all the information on here that I want. I also have a backside of the sheet to it. It's just a little reminder, and this is for my kids. I always tell them every day that I love them, and I ask them who loves them, and that's my answer. So it's always nice to acknowledge them during the game, and that also keeps me grounded as well. So to finish up, enjoy the why we do the game planning. Enjoy who it's for, know who it's for, and it's for our kids and for the memories that they get to make for the rest of their lives, and then they get to come back and share those experiences with your current team. So don't lose track of who it's for. And then tedious repetition is tedious, but it pays, and it pays in big ways, guys. Most importantly, make sure you guys have fun. This game has done so much for myself and so much for my family to just introduce fun into our daily lives, and we really enjoy it. This little quote down here at the bottom was the quote I put on there before we beat Marion for our conference championship. And it kind of summed up our journey at Carbondale for the last 5 years. And it was a rough road, man. It was a rough road, 09 to 8-2, from worst to first. We've done our job over there, but this little quote here from Stephen King has kind of summed it up for us. It says, the road and the tail have both been long. Would you not say so? The trip has been long and the cost has been high. But no great thing was ever attained easily. A long tail, like a tall tower, must be built a stone at a time. And we really have had a terrific journey at Carbondale. It's been a blast. Coach Lee has been a great a mentor to me. He has just turned the program into a winner. And now we're just coming for people, and we're enjoying ourselves. So hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Not a long one, but if you have any questions about anything, I'm happy to share, our breakdowns of how we do it with anybody. So my My information is there at the front of it. I'll share that with Coach Allball. And just reach out. I'm happy to help. And if I don't know the answer, we'll all find somebody that'll be able to answer it together. So thanks a lot for having me today, Coach. That's it. All right.
Okay. Man, excellent job, Coach. Really enjoyed that, man. A ton of little things that I just thought were so good. I'm going to talk about a couple of those things in a second, but I couldn't help but think while you're speaking, it's like, as I was thinking through, I'm like, is there a bigger compliment than when someone decides that for their football team, which is a huge investment, like right, we take our team so seriously. They're like, for my team, I'm going to say that what you are doing is good enough for my team, right? So like you had said that you guys decided to go to the simplest 3-5-3, and you sit back and you're like, man, this guy decided that this idea was good enough for his team to adopt. I was just thinking through, like, what a great compliment. And sitting there listening to some of the things that you're doing, and how cool it is, just the fact that all of it, like I said, all of us start here with this, and then everybody starts taking their own spins on it. Some things that you're doing that I'm not doing that I have to do, like just even down to your game plan, the time that you're taking with the game plan. It's like, I guess I would just say it's due diligence. As I'm looking at your game plan, the things that you're drawing out, I love that you're saying, like, we have to put it on a whiteboard. And I think that's cool, because it's like part of the game plan is just making sure you're giving it the time that you've given your brain time to sit on it. Does that make any sense? Do you feel like that too?
Oh, for sure. That's I'm telling you, when we put it up on the whiteboard, and it's funny, we were always taking pictures of the whiteboard, and you can refer back to it on Monday whenever somebody's saying, no, this is how, no, here's the picture right here. Like, this is what we decided.
Yes.
Then the arguments start, and then it's fun,
Absolutely. I do too. I have a lot of fun just arguing football. The other thing that I loved was your Alamo idea. But as you were saying that Alamo, I think for me, I think if I ever get to coach again, and if I happen to be running, if I ever get to call a defense again, I should say, like, I'm coaching. If I get to call a defense again, I like using that term Alamo. For me, though, I think I would say Alamo. It's like, hey, this is a place we're willing to die. We're going to die in our base. Like, I guess for me, I would call like our base. I'm always tell the kids our base would be our Alamo, because we almost always have some sort of fancy game plan. But I can't tell you the number of games that we've been in where our game plan was it just wasn't quite right, right? It's halftime, and people would ask a lot, like, and then we make an adjustment, and we come back and we win, and people be like, what was your adjustment? And 9 times out of 10, the adjustment was, screw all that fancy stuff we're doing. Let's go to our base. Like, that was the adjustment, And so that, I love, though, that term Alamo, like saying, hey, this is what, if things aren't going the way we want, this is where we're going to make our stand. And I think probably for us, that would be our base. But that, again, that's a cool thing about football. It's like, you get to choose to make your stand wherever you make your stand. But I love that term Alamo, a place where you can say, if it's not going right, let's live or die on this hill.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm not going to take any credit for that. That's all Coach Lee. He came in with that, and I was like, what? That seems a little bit okay. All right, and then I bought in, and now I use it every day.
That is such a cool concept. I love it. I'm stealing it. And then, darn, now I just drew a blank too. So this is one of the main reasons why I have stopped calling offense. Is that I have noticed that when I get excited, it's across all levels, football, anything. When I get excited, I can't concentrate as well. So it happens in a football game. I'll be excited in a football game, and all of a sudden my train of thought is, literally, Coach, it just shuts off. And I'm like, what was I just thinking about? What was it? Happens to me in football games, and I'll be rolling. Right? I could be calling one of the best games of my life, and then just, it's off. And I'm like, what's the name of that one play? Oh, it's trap. Right, like I can't even think of the word trap in the middle of the game. So here I was thinking back to your presentation, and now I can't. Literally, my brain shuts off. All right, that's a huge tangent, but overall, just I love the way your game plan. I wanted to ask what I couldn't see. I love your play sheet. I couldn't see what it was that was written on the back for all the kids to see. What was that?
It says, "Damn right I do."
So that's so you ask them. You say, "Oh, yeah." Tell me about that. That question and answer again.
So at night, when my kids are going to bed, I ask them, "Who loves this little boy? Who loves this little girl?" And they're like, "You do, Daddy." And I'm like, "Well, damn right I do."
Damn right I do.
So it just started a couple years ago, and it's just one of those things that they know I'm thinking about them. When all the stuff literally is going crazy, big play, I throw the sheet up, they see it, they point, they clap, and they know that the dad's still not too far away. That's one of the biggest things about football. We always preach family, and our families give up a big sacrifice every single week during the season. And whenever they get a little bit of acknowledgement, it kind of makes them feel good. And, it also keeps me grounded. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this without the support of my family. So when I look at that in the middle of the game, when we're just getting smoked on stretch or anything like that, I look at that like, okay, there's bigger things out there, family first, all this stuff that is going through my head just needs to focus.
I love that. You know what? Honestly, that could easily be something that could actually help me with that, my brain turning off thing, like to allow me, like to just ground myself. As you said, that's what you said, like keep me grounded, like to remember, all right, it's not at the end of the day, this is only so important, right? This breathe, right? Like this, breathe. Man, I just love that. Now, if you flip your sheet over, Coach, and this will be the last thing, we'll sum it up. I wanted to ask a little bit more. I struggle to read in a game because I'm so excited. I struggle to really make sense of it. Could you talk me through a little bit more, like what's going on that sheet? How are you using it?
Okay, so I used to take all the information and just start putting formations up on the sheet. And I found myself looking for formations on the sheet, and I could never find them because they were just scattered everywhere. And that was about 3 years ago. I was really struggling with that. Like, the kids were getting the calls late. I was slow. I wasn't doing the things the correct way. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm an idiot. I started grouping all of the sheets the same way for every week. So all my 2x2 sets are together. All my 3x1 sets are together. All the 2 tight sets are together. And now I know exactly on my play sheet, like this is where I'm going to go to find this. And it really hones it down. And I mean, the print on here, it's hard to see there, but it's big. I usually use bold font with a 16 size font on there. I try and get it as big as I can so I can see it. My blitzes are highlighted. My base calls are a different color. There's different calls for different formations, obviously, and finding them on the sheet was a big problem. And then I fixed it by grouping everything together that belonged together. I know that's probably a simple answer, but I didn't think of it early enough. And I said I'm not smart enough all the time to remember all the stuff that I put on there. But by the time the game plan comes and the kids, the captains are coming up and saying, "Hey, we didn't practice that versus this formation. You can't be calling that." I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I can't be calling that." So
yeah,
it's kind of nice.
I like that. Well, I'd love to get a look at that. I don't know if you would mind, but I'd love to if you'd email me a copy of that. I want to kind of sit and read through it if you wouldn't mind sharing. Because a defensive call sheet isn't really something I've used, and I think that I need to, and that was one of the main points for me. I thought if I'm going to take a little break here from being a head coach, I need to learn some things. So this is part of it too. I just want to learn new ways to think, see how other guys are thinking through the game, And I think that's how we can improve. Well, Coach, I really appreciated your time. I thought you did an excellent job with the presentation. It's no surprise. I don't even know what you guys are doing offensively, but it is no surprise that you guys are playing good football. And when I say that, it is not because you decided to run a 3-5-3 or that you took any of my ideas. I'm not surprised because I could see from the very first slide, I could see how organized you were, right? Like, that slide was clean and neat and the text was nice. And I was like, this is organization. I love it. And so I want to make sure that I tell you that it is no surprise that you guys are playing good football, because you seem to be very well organized and be very passionate about having a great plan. So congrats to you. And I commend you on that. If you have any questions, Coach, or if you need anything from us, if we can help you any way, and I say that through myself personally, or through Chief Pigskin, don't hesitate to reach out. And these guys, how can they find you on Twitter?
So my handle is at Coach B Campos on Twitter. You can follow CCH Terriers and CCHS Terriers, and you might be able to find me through there. If I have anybody mutual that follows myself, you can probably find me through there. And then I have an email address it's at coachbcampos@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Send them my way. I'll be happy to share anything with you that I've learned. There's no secrets in this industry, It's just on how you prepare.
Awesome, man. Well, congrats, Coach, and best of luck to you guys this winter.
Yeah.
Bizarre that football is in the winter now, but best of luck to you guys, and we'll be keeping tabs on you guys.
Awesome.
You guys that are here on our YouTube channel, don't please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave Coach some support, give us some support. We appreciate you guys watching. Take care.